And we're not talking about. Oh, we are talking about you did. Okay, good.
Yeah, we're live.
All
Here we
right,
go.
we are live. Boy, I'm glad I didn't say that now. That was great. That would have been terrible. Well, welcome to the show. You're watching the QB show live, and I'm going to let Stacy break it all down because she's made some really awesome changes. It's very exciting, including the advent of Nerf platform. My name is Woody Adams. I'm a product specialist with Intuit and been with Intuit for 10 years now, and happy to be here tonight. Happy to be feeling better and excited to run through the next hour. We got some great QuickBooks questions. We don't have a guest. It's just Don, Stacy, and myself. So enough about me. And Stacy, how's it going?
It's going really well. It was 67 degrees yesterday here in the Mitten.
In Michigan, wow.
And all the snow, the 2 feet of snow, I don't have as much snow as they do like in Boston or, in Connecticut. They got like mad, crazy snow. But we had a couple feet of snow, and it's all gone. There's just a couple places where we have a little bit of snow. But it's pretty much all gone from the yard, and I'm very excited. So very nice. How are you, Don? Other than I'm doing fine. I'm going to say this. I have like first world problems where we have just a lot of work coming in, and I'm not complaining about it. It's just one of those things where I'm in list making mode where I have to like keep up to date and keep a list going. So anyway, Roland, what's up with you?
I call that tax season.
I don't, because I don't do taxes. So.
Yeah, but it's busy because it's tax season.
It's just
my opinion. Just my opinion. Crazy.
Yeah, it's.
And you got a month left. How's it going, Don? How's the tax season going?
We call it survival. It's kind of like you watch those shows on TV. It's like survival, but it's awesome. I got invited to a really big case today, QuickBooks case on 30 QuickBooks files. Can't wait. Wow. Non-disclosure, so I can't talk about it, but I can only say that I love it. And I get very excited when I get those calls. So that's fun. And taxes are wonderful when you have time. Like, I wish we had, like, all year to do them. Like, all year. Just, you know what, whenever you can get to them. But when they put it into a 60-day parameter, it makes it difficult and stressful, and everyone suffers. Every person, every dog, every cat.
Yeah, cats especially.
They all suffer
from
tax season, but it's good. It's good. It's good. Crazy. Of course, today is St. Patrick's Day. My mother's maiden name, I can't tell you because that's one of my passcodes on my logins. But let's just say that my mother's maiden name is Irish.
Awesome.
So that's cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
A lot of action. How about you, Woody? Woody, are you good? I know it's warm there.
It's like 80 degrees tonight. It's really weird. But it's going to rain tomorrow. It's been crappy, rainy weather, but at least it's warm. It'll be in the 60s and rainy. Not complaining, except that most of the house is sick. Like Nick came down with it, which is always tough when Nick gets sick because she's like the rock, you know. So she's poor thing. She's trying to come back. And then Abby had to go on antibiotics. She got a secondary infection, so we couldn't get rid of it. She can't clear the sinus stuff like we can, right? So it gets stuck and goes in her ears and crap. So she's a trooper. She's still running around like crazy, not knowing that she's sick. But she's sick. Yeah, right. While ill. So she's on the pink. She's on the pink stuff. Yeah.
It's like a
amoxicillin. She's on the amoxicillin.
She's on the bubblegum pink. Yeah. That's antibiotics. Great. Yeah.
That's pretty. You can't go wrong with that. So
no, it'll be fine. My mom's got it. Isaac just got done. Ray had it, and so it's running through the house. But we've been able to open the windows because of the warmth, so that's really helping.
Nice.
And anyway, I'm going to Alabama Thursday. I got to fly there for overnight, and then Friday I present at a firm, and then I come back. I mean, literally, I'm flying there for 2 hours, really, of effort. And, the only direct flight back to Dallas from Montgomery is at 5:30. So I'm going to be done at, like, lunch. I'll just be hanging out at the airport for 5 hours.
Nice.
Awesome.
That'll be fun.
Loving it.
That's always a good time.
Friday night, no less.
Sponsors real quick? Should we do sponsors?
Please, yeah, let's do that. Enough about Enough about Alabama anyway.
I'll let you guys do it because then I want to talk about the Nerf stuff.
Yes, so sponsors, Avalara, been with us a long time now, avalara.com, and that's sales tax and sales tax genius. That's just what I call it. So if you're concerned about sales tax or
sales tax.
Yeah, rule the sales tax world.
Yeah.
And if you're concerned about what your clients are doing with sales tax in either QuickBooks Desktop or QBO, or they're getting dinged with penalties, Avalara's just connected up. It's the way to go, and it's going to save you tons of money and a lot of havoc. And they kind of do all the work for you, which is nice. Then in the same vein, but on the time tracking world, it would be T-sheets. You can clock in, clock out from anywhere, all over the world. They have people clocking in and clocking out. Probably right now, someone who's clocked out somewhere in like Bangladesh or whatever, or maybe they're clocking in using T-sheets. You can do it on the phone too.
Yeah, you can. I was just going to say you can text in. You can even clock in via Twitter.
I can text it in?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yep.
That is crazy. And then, of course, Fundera.com, loans. Hooking it up to QuickBooks, figuring out when you're ready to do a loan, how best to do it, and they pull the info out, and they help you get that going. Now, Stacy was involved with that in real life. Stacy, how'd that work out? Well,
I have a blueberry Newton in my mouth, so
sorry about that.
It's going very well.
I'm in the middle of mine. All docs are in.
Nice.
They're
Nice.
amazing. Like the way they walk you through everything is awesome.
Sure. So let them help you get funded. And then UnidataIT.com, of course, they've been with us since the beginning. That's hosting your QuickBooks and Microsoft Office products in the cloud so that you can use it on a phone or an iPad or a computer.
Or anything.
Well, a laptop or desktop computer.
Hey.
So we'd like to thank those guys for being our sponsors. We appreciate it. And Stacy has an announcement regarding Nerf. And Stacy, go ahead. QB Show Live. Pound QB Show Live.
Yeah. So we've had the hashtag QB Show Live since we started doing the Twitter chat. And so if you go to the live page on our website, the live link where we have the show embedded, there's been Twitter, following the hashtag, but it just wasn't really ideal, and there was a little bit of a delay, and so we've been searching for a chat, because for those of you who've been with us since the beginning, when we were on Blog Talk Radio and we were all audio only, we actually had a chat, and it was really great, and everybody was really involved in it, and then when we moved to the Hangouts to video, we lost the chat. And so we've tried a couple different things. We had like a plugin, a WordPress plugin, and it just was kind of a little sketchy. And then we went to the tweet chat, like the Twitter thing. And a couple months ago when we were looking at this, when we were talking about it, Nerf is a website. It's called NURPH.com, nerf.com.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it and I thought, well, I don't want to just go ahead and automatically change to it without really trying it. And then I didn't get a chance to really try it. Well, Kathy Iconis has been using it for QBO chat, and it's really amazing, and it's really, really cool. And it is a true chat screen, like a chat room screen. And what it does is it adds the hashtag. So you can still follow us on Twitter, follow the hashtag on Twitter if you want. It just makes it a little bit easier to do it via Nerf. And so we embedded the Nerf page instead of the Twitter feed on the live page as well. But just so that you know, it's easier to actually have the Nerf page open in a different tab, or like a different screen. I mean, it's different for us because we're not watching live, but you can't really watch live. I mean, I'm sure you could listen, but you have to scroll down. It's still there. You can do it if you want. If you're more of a listener rather than watcher, that's fine. I mean, it's easier to open it up in a different tab or in just a different browser window. And so what you do is you're going to just log into your Twitter account, and then you'll go to nerf.com/QBShowLive. And there's a link right on our page that you can do. Once you log into Twitter and log into Nerf, you can actually come back and just refresh the live page if you want, or you can just keep it open in another window. So it's up to you. And I think we're gonna really try using this, and hopefully it works. Because that was one of the great things about the old format was I thought the chat that we had with the audience and with the listeners, it really made the show interactive, and people would ask questions when we had guests on, and they'd kind of ask us follow-ups for the questions that we were asking. So hopefully that'll work. And if anybody needs directions or instructions, you can email us, show@theqbshow.com or show@radiofreeqb.com. We can still get that too. And we can help you guys get logged in. But it's pretty simple, and I love it. So it's working, pretty well.
That's cool. I mean, it's cool to start it. I mean, Christine's in here. Christine Galley, thanks for coming in. That's awesome.
Yep.
So hopefully that'll pick up. Pound QB Show Live. Loving it.
Yep.
Very good. So Dawn.
Yes. Yes.
Remind people about signing up for show reminders on the website. We don't spam.
Yeah, so people should do that, right? So they should go to the website. Is it QBshow.com now, right?
It's theqbshow.com, or you can still get to us. Yeah, you can still get to us by going to radiofreeqb.com, but it is officially.
That's our history.
Yeah. So because we had a lot of blog posts, and I wanted to keep that SEO, so when you go to the QB Show, it just redirects to Radio Free QB. But either one will get you there.
Right.
Nice.
So show reminders are good. Who doesn't need a reminder?
When you're on the show, page, you're going to scroll down. If you're just on the main page, to get to it, you just scroll down, kind of almost to the bottom of the page, and you'll see a little form that says Show Reminder, and just put in your email address and your first name and that kind of stuff, and subscribe. We send out one email every week that just reminds you about the show, and we just changed the format, so we have a brand new format. It's a lot easier, and we're also going to be kind of teasing some of the questions that we'll be talking about, so you know what the subjects are. So go to the home page, scroll down to the bottom, and it'll say Show Reminder, and you can get reminded about the show every week. And we don't spam. We don't send out anything other than every Tuesday afternoon/evening. It varies anywhere between 4 and 7 p.m. Eastern time is when we send that out.
Yeah, and I have nothing to send you anyway, so
I don't either.
You won't receive any emails from me.
And I'm not a big like newslettery person, so I don't like to get a lot of those. So we don't send a lot of them out.
Nice. Although I did see on Twitter you wrote a blog for Fundera, Fundera blog regarding your 10 favorite QBO resources.
Yes.
So you can check that out at fundera.com too. Go to their blog. If you're stuck in a jam and need some help, so Stacy breaks down those. Also, we put out a new video today. It's a deeper dive into converting from desktop to QBO with some initial considerations. It's not just 1, 2, 3, go. I think that you want to ask some questions and do some stuff in the desktop file, right? Create the subscription, however you do. Convert it, and then do some post stuff. So I wanted to do a more, instead of just the 2 or 3 minutes, it's real quick, lickety split, it's so easy, to be, I think, a little more involved in the process and what it entails. There's also some good job aids in that video and some links there. So hopefully that's helped you. That's brought to you from the fine folks at the QB Show. We are going to go to a question right now, and it's for me. Stacy wants me to share out and screen share talking about QBO I team members versus QBO users. So Stacy, this confusion must have come up from maybe the
webinar
thing we did Monday.
Yeah. So yesterday, Woody and I, we have been, and Emily Watkins Daigle. Is it Daigle?
Emily Watkins. Oh, you're right. Sorry, Daigle. But but her email is still Watkins.
I know. That's why I get confused.
But it's Daigle. You're right. Yeah.
So Emily Daigle and Woody usually answer questions while we do the QBO cert. It's like a 4-hour webinar, and Woody and Emily are answering questions while we're presenting. But Woody and I have been switching it up a little bit the last couple times that we've done it, where I do the slide stuff and then he'll do demo, so we kind of make it a little bit more interesting for the attendees and for us. And yesterday there seemed to be kind of a lot of confusion about adding users in new QBO I versus QBO. And I wanted to make sure that we showed how you can add in QBO I, in your client, in the dashboard, where you can add a team member or a staff member, but you can also, that's different than actually being logged into your client's QBO and managing the user. So that's what I wanted to
show that. And probably a lot of people will get it, but I'm going to share out right now. And entire screen. There you go. And I'm actually going to go incognito for this. And this is one of my new favorite things.
I actually always do that.
Yeah, because the only thing is it doesn't remember, where you've been. And sometimes I think that's good. And it clears all the cookies and cache for you as you go. Although sometimes it's weird. I did this earlier and I got my QBO I demos. Whoops, sorry.
Your
QBO I demos at gmail.com. What's that?
You got the 1960s T-shirt on. You see it? His thing?
What?
You have like a stick person with a guitar and your 1960s T-shirt on.
Oh.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, Ray. Ray drew that for me.
Oh, she's so cute.
She's cool. She's a good drawer. All right, so I'm in QBO I, right? And though I'm at QBO.intuit.com, this is the accountant platform. This is where I have my clients, etc. And I'm going to go to the team now. Being in the team, this is where you invite the staff user. And see, I wonder if Stacy's on this. I do notice this page takes a while to load, depending on how many staff you have. There's a few pages that do that. I got a lot of people on here. Yeah, Stacy's here. I think she's here somewhere. Yeah. So here's Stacy, and what's nice is this is in QBO I. This has nothing to do with the QBO user in the QBO file. It's just QuickBooks Online Accountant, and I'll just give Stacy. Oh, she has to accept the invitation, but I could make her full if I wanted to. Basic is limited access to the Your Books file, or what they can do administratively in QBO I. And my favorite is just restricting clients, so she has access to 4 clients when she logs in. If you ever see it grayed out, by the way, because I got confused once, I was like, hey, I was doing this in a presentation, and I couldn't make any changes to the user. And that's because the user hasn't accepted the invite. So you can't actually edit the info until they accept the invite. So I found that out the hard way.
Can you resend it?
Yeah, totally. There's an option to resend it right there. But that's okay, because I'm used to, bombing presentations and stuff. It's actually quite fun.
I do every time. I think it's part of it.
It's part of it. It's
For me, it's not a presentation unless I have some sort of technical difficulties. I can't log in. The monitor won't work. The internet goes down. I don't think it's a presentation without that.
Yeah. And so let's go into a file though, because that's QBO I users. And then when you're in the file, you click the realm picker, the drop down there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's turned light blue, and it's going to blink a bit. And now I'm in QBO. It was what we all recognize as QBO, at least for the last year and a half, right? 2 years. And then, of course, you go to gear icon, manage users. Now, if you're on a current generation of QBO I, you would go to the gear icon, and manage users would be for your staff. So I can see how it would be confusing. Where I think in the new QBO I, it really separates it, or distinct, right? I have team. I'm in QBO I. I'm not in QBO. I'm not actually affecting the QBO user per se. Except when the staff logs in, sometimes you'll either see on the audit log it'll show your accountant, or it'll show the master admin of the QBO I realm. Sometimes we've been testing this, and I forget what our findings were. It's been a few weeks now. When staff log in, what shows up on the actual audit log? We can go look now just to check it out. But this is the QBO user. So this would be, I got the accounting firm taken care of, right? I'm the accountant user, right? All my staff are going through QBO I. They're on the team. They're not really a QBO user. They're coming in through QBO I. So I guess indirectly they are. But they're really linked to this QBO I demos at gmail.com. Even though they have their own login, they're coming in under, my realm for QBO I. So you only need one accountant user, but I think the person was confused about, the users you create for the QBO file, and I have 3, and that has nothing to do with the accountant user or QBO I team staff. And if we were to go to the audit log, let's just see what it says, because I had some interesting findings over that. So Clayton Adams logged in. That's me, and I'm the master admin of QBO I. And then system admin is Woody. And then look, Ray, Isaac, that's actually a regular user. Then you got Clayton. I'm trying to look for one that says your accountant. No, it's not showing. Anyway, I've seen them where it says your accountant, and it's very generic, and that to me is sometimes you'll see when a staff logs in via QBO I and opens up the QBO file. I'll have to ping Valerie on that because I think she has the list of what happens. I just don't remember things, so that's why I do like videos, because I won't remember how to do it tomorrow or the next day.
I won't remember how to do it.
Very sad. It's very sad. It's only getting sadder, really. I mean, I'm 48, so I'm sure in the next 2 years, I don't know, I'll probably have to ask Stacy how to log into QBO. Right? I think it's QBO.
I think you'll be okay.
You think so? All right. I'm hoping. All right, I'm going to stop the sharing, stop the madness for a bit, and we are back at it. So, Dawn, here's a good one. After updating to QuickBooks Pro 2014, when trying to reconcile my bank statement, it shows I last reconciled on July of 2013, and the beginning balance is off. Using the QuickBooks Pro 2014 has made reconciling my checking account difficult. How do I change the beginning balance?
You can't. How about that?
Okay.
Can't do it. I don't, but I do have a little bit of other things to share, but you cannot change the beginning balance. There's obviously a discrepancy in your original, like somebody's gone in, changed something, so you have to go in and check the locate discrepancy report, which I love. I love that there's a discrepancy.
Yeah. So
that's what I would do initially. So if there's a beginning balance problem, you probably need a professional. I would say that. You probably need
if you are a professional and you're new to this, how do you...
Seriously. Listen, I can't even say this. Well, I'll say it anyway. So I'm being brought into a federal case for a fraud issue with 30 QuickBooks files, and there are CPAs and certified fraud examiners that have no idea how to use QuickBooks. That's not like a hit on them. Trust me, they know things that I'll never know or understand or be able to represent. But you have to know that there's certain functionality within an accounting software. It doesn't have to be QuickBooks. It doesn't have to be, I don't know any other software because I don't use it. But you have to know that in accounting, you have software that depends on the user. And so in this case, it's the same thing. It's very similar because if you're going to work with a data file, whatever software you're using, you have to know the limitations. And there's a reason why there's a limitation. And so if the beginning balance is wrong, it's because somebody has jacked up a transaction prior to the last reconciliation. And I'll tell you what, it's interesting during tax season. During tax season, you learn that you forget stuff. You forget to put a closing date password on the prior year QuickBooks file. Maybe they give you a backup, you do your stuff, and you forget. So the beginning balances don't match or whatever happens. So it's interesting. It's a great question because that happens all the time. And if you're doing tax returns or you're doing reconciliation for a client, you get the bank statement, you're like, what the heck happened? What happened? Why did the beginning balance change? And so we try to safeguard, Woody. That's what we call it, yeah. Safeguarding. Protecting themselves from themselves. Doesn't always happen. But anyway.
Do a lot of times you have to undo the last month or last couple months and kind of redo it?
Or years, right, Stacy? Years. Sometimes we have to do years because we don't know. But the locate discrepancy report is really, really helpful.
Yeah.
Nice.
Sometimes it's just one thing.
Nice.
Maybe they change a deposit or a check or something that's cleared.
Right.
Something that we've already done for them. And then they're like, why do I owe that money for you for your time?
Yeah, but that's why after you get done with the bank rec, you should always put a closing date password.
Correct. 100%. Yep.
Nice,
but
man.
it's that beginning balance that just jacks everything
Jack.
up. Jacks it.
Thanks for that, Dawn.
I want to.
Stacy,
I want
please.
to screen share for a second.
Oh, can you? That would be sweet.
Well, we'll see. But today I came across this awesome project, which I'm very thankful for. But the accountant who was in charge of the project, large project, he couldn't get the backups restored, couldn't figure out how to get it done. Ordered 4 seats of accountant's copy, which is cool, 2015 desktop, because there's still a lot of people still using desktop, by the way, which is cool.
Oh yeah.
And so we have
3.5 million.
So
3.5 million. Yeah.
It's like our roots. We go back to where we first lived, or whatever. But that's desktop, right? So it's back to. And they could.
I was in there today.
You got to get in the roots.
I was in desktop today. Yeah.
Get back in the roots.
I was not in desktop today.
I was.
I was not.
I'm gonna get a shirt made. I'm getting back in the roots. But anyway, so what's interesting, they ordered 4 accountant version desktops because they have an audit file, which is very different. Like there's reasons why you have to go back into files in the desktop. You can't convert them to QBO, and that's cool. Listen, all of the new clients we get, they go on QBO. But we have audit files, we have integrity issues when we're dealing with courts. And there's a lot of that happening. And so we got some orders, and he's like, we have to take these from here to there. And we couldn't get the EXE file, so, that's a whole other thing. We won't get into that. But I wanted to share where people can actually go to get EXE files if you have a client who either needs an old one or are in a situation where they're dealing with forensics, which, by the way,
I know what website you're going to.
Well, then do it yourself. You do it.
I just know what you're doing because I just found it.
No, can you show? Can you share out, Dawn?
I'm sharing.
Go ahead.
Start screen share. Listen, I'm still kind of like the beginner on this one. You see it?
Yep.
Yep.
So interesting, though. We've had this conversation before on the show by phone, maybe. I don't think we've done during this hangout. But
no, this is a different website than I thought.
The downloads didn't. Remember when they had a break and you couldn't get the EXE file?
Yeah.
And it was like a little bit of short time. Even if you had the license number and the product number, you couldn't get the EXE file. So we ordered these QuickBooks EXE files, order for forensic, and we're like, he's of course texting me last night at 11:30. I don't care. It's tax season. But anyway, so this morning I got on. I called support. I called them, which is sort of fun. Which I'm going to tell you about that in a minute. Call support every once in a while. Just why? Because you want to hear what your clients are hearing every once in a while. Anyway, so this guy got on quick, named Carlos, great guy, and said, go to this website and and actually if you go to the downloads and updates, you can actually pick your product like you used to do. I mean, this is like old school, Woody. You think so?
I like it.
Here, and you can download it.
Yeah.
So you can still do that.
Yeah.
Which I think is really important for people to understand that, listen, there are still hundreds of thousands of clients using desktop.
Totally.
And if they
that's
are,
awesome.
and either they ordered it, which of course the Intuit ID sometimes doesn't work so wonderfully, or you get into their file and there's no EXE file, which is totally fine. You know what? If you go in, your client has their license number and product number, you can still install the product by going into a QuickBooks support.
Yep.
Yeah.
So this is
that's where you can also install the maintenance releases. That's what I do ahead of the time. I don't do them in the product. I just come here to install them.
That's right here. Update.
Totally.
Lower left corner. And so I hadn't really done that in a while. And then of course I was in the what's new or in the updated certification team, and I had the updated certification team QuickBooks on my computer.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, nuts, that's crazy, and that didn't let me, work in the QuickBooks because it's been like 3 months, right? So I had to go reinstall, uninstall, reinstall, and it was so easy just to come here and download. I didn't have to because I had it in my Pro Advisor, so that's a hint to be a Pro Advisor because all of the EXE for your software is in your Pro Advisor locker, which is the smart thing to do if you're a professional. But just the same, if you need to have the download file, this was huge for me. I was pretty pumped about it. I mean, I was on the phone with him for 5 minutes. It was great.
Well, let me share something out because it made me think. Kim Hogan was helping out someone, and they were on old QuickBooks, an old version. And interestingly, like QuickBooks 2009, right? Interestingly enough, here's the phone that QuickBooks 2009 person uses. If you guys can see that picture, they're still using that phone, and that just kind of pretty symbolizes to me of being on QuickBooks 2009. But you could get this phone if you wanted to, although it's really hard to carry in your pocket and stuff, but you could still probably get it on like eBay and stuff like that.
Are you sharing?
Yeah, you didn't see it?
No, I'm seeing your stick figure still.
Really? Oh, too bad. That was fun.
I am.
It's okay. All right, back at it. Stacy, I have a good question for you. For QuickBooks Online, is there batch deleting for purchase orders? My client has a lot of old purchase orders which need to be deleted, excuse me. Why the purchase orders are not marked paid? Okay, so is there batch deleting? Then there's a second question of the purchase orders are not marked paid after they're paid, like invoices. And I think they're thinking it's a posting transaction. It's not, but go ahead and Stace, what do you think? Oh, maybe she's muted. Dawn, are you there?
No, she's muted.
Oh, she is? I can't hear her at all. Stacy, you there? No. So I'll wait. I'll ask the next question for her. But yes, you can't batch delete anything in any QuickBooks.
Not in QuickBooks, but you can use Transaction Pro.
Right. The Transaction Pro deleter. That works as well. And I think Bay State, no, not Bay State, I think Big Red Consulting has one too. Yep. And I'll just never forget. Yeah, I hear you now. I'll just never forget when the batch create invoice feature came out in desktop in 2010. And I remember going to one of the product managers because I got this question. I was like, well, what if they create all these invoices, like 1,000 of them? Is there a way to batch delete? And I was like, huh. I was kind of young then, and I was like, batch delete, yeah, it sounds like a great idea. All right. So I went and I think I emailed Jason Tamactor and Shane Hamby, and they didn't really know who I was that time. So they were just like, are you kidding me? We would never put a batch delete functionality in QuickBooks because no matter how, for this one instance, it would be great. But imagine all the hell that would happen, right? Just batch deleting stuff. Okay?
No undo.
Yeah, right. So, and then I started to learn. I was like, well, yeah, that makes total sense. So, no, there's no batch deleting of really anything except for those third parties. And why purchase orders are not marked paid is, well, they shouldn't be. They're not a posting transaction. Right? You convert the PO into a posting transaction like a bill, or a check or something, and then the bill would be marked paid when you pay the bill. So that's probably, I think they just thought purchase orders were posting. I don't know. I thought most accounting software always had them as non-posting, so maybe they were never using an accounting software before, right? So purchase order is just a piece of paper.
I think what's happening,
as far as I know, a piece of paper doesn't post or unpost. It's just a piece of paper.
I think what's happening is they just don't, like maybe they're converting it to a bill and they don't understand that maybe they're writing a check. I mean, it's hard to understand what they're saying with like, why don't they show as being paid when they're paid with purchase orders? It's hard to answer that second part of the question without seeing what their workflow is.
Yeah. Well.
I'm just saying. All I'm saying, hey, Dawn, post that link to that website because that's a different website than I thought you were going to talk about.
Okay, I got it. I'm on it. I'm doing it.
Yeah, send it to me, and maybe I'll make a bit.ly because it's kind of a long link.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were going to go to camps.intuit.com, and camps, like as in summer camp, CAMPS, .intuit.com, is sort of awesome. So I had to go back and I had to find, I wanted to create a QBO demo file for an event that I'm doing next week in Mountain View with the App Center with the ecosystem people. And I wanted to, Ronnie Tay from the App Center and I are doing a presentation.
Wow.
And I wanted to, like, we're doing internal training for the Ray Barlow's team for the BDMs, for like Kim Hogan and Natasha.
And Maddie.
Yeah, so I wanted to have a QBO file that had current year transactions, and so I couldn't use a 2015 sample file from desktop. I had to go back to 2010 because that sample file has 2015 dates in it.
Nice.
So I had to install 2010 only. If I go to my ProAdvisor website, it's not listed there anymore because they don't support it. So I was trying to figure out a way to download it because I knew I had purchased it. I just don't have the disc anymore. I mean, I have no idea where it is. So I know. So I found camps.intuit.com, and you log in with like your ProAdvisor ID, and it shows you every product and service you've ever purchased from Intuit ever, and all the license numbers and product keys, everything ever. And it's awesome and amazing. And it went all the way back to 2004 for me.
Camps.intuit.com.
Yeah, camps.intuit.com. It's awesome. It is awesome.
There's your link, buddy. In Nerf. I got you.
App self-service.
There you go. Nice.
Your account. Just sign in, and there it is. That's awesome.
Yeah, and I love Dawn's too because Dawn's is great. Dawn's is also awesome because that is if you don't have a product key. Like if you've never purchased it, hers is just as freaking awesome.
We're the best.
It's the same but different. We're the same but different.
I wonder what the reference of camps is, though. That's kind of odd.
I don't know. I don't get that either. But it doesn't matter to me. It doesn't matter.
As long as it works, Woody. Who cares?
Yeah, camping.
Right?
That's cool. Okay, Stacy, I have a question for you because you were muted, I think.
Maybe.
Oh, how can I get checks to print the date above the amount and delete vendor address at bottom left and replace with a memo line? Do not want vendor address, just memo line at bottom left of check.
You can delete the vendor address on the check. You can actually open up the check and delete the address if you need to. I mean, that's the only way to do it, and you can have it save it forever and do that, or not, and then you have to just put whatever you want in the memo field. So that's the only way I can think of to do that. I just printed checks. I want to just say this out of QBO. I used the Mac client. I decided to use that today to see.
Oh, you downloaded that?
I've had it for a while. I've had it for a while, and I haven't used it. And so
I hear it's awesome.
It's pretty cool. You don't have there's no accountant user, so you don't have.
What?
Yeah, so I logged in.
Oh, there's no QBO. Oh, right. You can't choose the QBO realm for the Mac client. It's just really a QBO client.
It's just QBO, which is fine because that's really I don't really do a lot of QBOA stuff for this client. I mean, I'm just straight up cutting checks. I'm entering checks, cutting checks, doing bank reconciliation.
Can you share out and go in?
I'm on my PC right now, or else I would.
Oh, right. You're on PC. Okay.
Yeah.
We got to do that once.
Next week. I'll do it next week. Let's put it in the notes for next week. So I printed checks, and when we converted, I noticed, I've never noticed this before, but when you go to print the checks, the name shows up twice when you convert from desktop. Did you know that, Woody? So for whatever reason, in the address field on the check when it prints, it shows name, address, city, state, zip. I didn't know, but not
weird.
Yeah, and I mean I don't care. I mean to me it doesn't matter. But
yeah,
some
but that's
people,
brutal for someone who prints checks.
Well, I mean, I print checks. I mean, I just printed 30 checks for my client today. So, like, I can see where somebody who's, like, wants it to be just perfect might not like that and might get a little bent, you know, might get their underwear in a bunch about it, maybe. But for me and my client, we just totally, I don't care. But I did notice that does that, and I've never noticed that because I've used QuickBooks Online since 2004, and this year, like to end of January, is the first time I've ever printed physical checks out of QBO. So, anyway.
Wow.
Dawn. We've got some questions for Dawn.
Yes,
Good.
we do. I got a good one. Let me see here.
Wait, Woody, I got a question for you.
That's fine. Yeah, go for it.
No, Dawn, let's ask Dawn's question then, Woody.
Okay. Vehicle sale with outstanding loan balance. I recently sold a business vehicle that had an outstanding loan. The buyer of the vehicle wrote 2 checks, one to the bank to pay off the loan and the other to me. How do I enter this into QuickBooks?
So that's a good
Yeah.
question. I'm going to keep it simple, just
Yes.
for simplicity purposes. Let's say that the vehicle had a loan of 10 grand, and the person wrote a check for 15. Keep it simple. And so they wrote a check for 15. They would write off the loan. They would deposit the check, of course. Who doesn't deposit checks? You would deposit the check, and I would deposit the check. Just saying. Stacy would not. She'd hold on to it. She's busy.
What I would do? If I got a check, here's what I would do, like a paper check. Do you want to know what I would do?
I know you do. You take your phone out.
No. I would, maybe, but first, before I did that, I would stick it in the visor of my truck and leave it there for 6-7 weeks at least until I remembered that, oh, hey, I never deposited that check.
$15,000 check, Woody.
I would do that. I would do that. I'm just saying.
The next time you got the statement. That's when you, right?
Yes, because here's why. Because I can't, it's over the limit for the taking the picture, so I would actually have to go to the bank. So I would stick it up in the visor and then forget about it. I'm just saying.
Right, it's good. Totally good point.
That's what I would do. That's what Stacy would do.
I get it. So anyway, Woody, you would debit the checking account. You know why? Because you're increasing it. I love doing that with Woody because we do the journal entries. We would debit the checking account, 15 G's, credit the liability on the loan.
Right, which will decrease it. No, don't.
Correct. No, you're correct. Credit the loan.
Yes.
Or actually, yeah. So you debit the checking account, credit the loan like you paid it, right?
Okay.
And then you would do a sale of the vehicle as an other income account, but we're not talking about taxes.
Right.
We're not doing that. So we want to write off the loan, do the rest of the sale. We don't know about the depreciation recapture, that they call it.
Right.
And we'll go from there. So
you can do a journal entry for that, right?
What's that?
You can do a journal entry for the depreciation.
Well, yeah. You need a final cost analysis. You have to do depreciation recapture. Depends on the year. You know, you have to. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
I think their concern was that because the loan balance is now 0 because the buyer paid off that part. How do they do that? You know, I don't think they were so concerned with receiving the check they received as income, really.
And they didn't word the question properly.
Yeah. No, but you're right. I mean, they're just like, well, now that the loan's 0, how do I close that out in QuickBooks? Yeah. That's good. Very cool. Thanks for that, Don. All right. Yeah. Now, Stacy, you wanted me to let me do the inactive AR one? Is that what you're talking about?
No, I want to ask you a desktop. This is an accountant's copy desktop file question.
Yeah.
So what I'm wondering is, it says, can I remove my most recent accountant's updates that were downloaded in error and then download the correct updates from the web? When I delivered just no? That quick?
Yeah, you can't. If you imported the changes, you can't undo that. You can't unimport the changes. So
unless you did a backup first. And you
Right,
can
before
restore
you
the
imported the
backup.
changes, yeah, which it's supposed to do anyway. QuickBooks will do that. So you could restore that file, but it seems like there are two change files to me when I'm reading this. Is that not true?
Yeah, so he says or she, when I delivered my accountant's copy to my accountant in January for tax purposes, he opened it for review and made some changes to my contact information for him. He had me go ahead and load it onto my laptop and update QB QuickBooks while I was still in his
So
office.
that
So it's,
event was done. So
yeah,
he did the accountant's copy, had changes, and he imported the changes. So that ends that relationship with that transfer file and that accountant relationship.
exactly.
So is there another one?
Yeah, and so what it sounds like is maybe he sent that and then kept working in his file and didn't
In
get a
the
new
QBA
accountant.
file?
Yeah, and didn't get a new accountant's file. Is that possible? A new accountant's copy?
Well, he can keep using it, but I think when you try to export the changes again, it gives you an error that you already exported them.
I don't know.
I'd have to try that out.
Yeah, that's a
You
good
get a
one.
warning at least. But so you'd have to restore the backup, which they probably don't want to do.
Yeah.
My concern was if there was two different events of an accountant's copy, then you know when the client's file is awaiting accountant's changes, it's looking for the resolution of the QBX, which is now QBY. So it's waiting for it to come down
Yeah.
and finish that wheel, that process, right? QBX, QBA, QBY, back into QBW. And so if I import changes and I send them another one, right? Which I don't think this is the case, but just for hypothetical, I send you another transfer file, and yet you never really convert that. You keep working in the existing QBA, and for some reason are able to create another change file, which I hope you can't do, but maybe you can. You just get a warning. I haven't done this in a while. I wouldn't be able to drop that into that QBW file that's awaiting changes because I'm awaiting changes on the second QBX file that I sent you. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it will say that it can't find any when you try to import changes, or it'll be grayed out, which I think was their scenario. So it's quite possible that he just keeps working on the .QBA file
Yeah.
for the client, and then decides to send the change file again, but they can't import the changes because it's probably grayed out. I mean, their file is a .QBW without the parenthetical. Cool, I got to use that word again.
Nice.
Parenthetical
Good job.
flag that says awaiting accountant's change at the top. That is no longer there. So it's not awaiting any changes, so that option will not be in the submenu for accountant's copy or whatever the menu is now on file. I think we changed it. Anyway, so I'm going to say no. However, you're right, the backup. What if they have a backup and this was just a day or two, so they're not missing a whole lot of data entry? I could restore it. It would still show as waiting accountant's changes, and then he could send me that change file again, and then I would go ahead and import the changes. Assuming, and I'm just assuming, that I can export changes more than once back to a client. I do think you get at least a warning. I would have to try that.
Yep.
But in all honesty or transparency, I almost don't want to test this.
I wouldn't want to either.
Okay.
I'm just going to
But it is exciting. I always like the accountant's copy, and I had to know it well for those first few years as a product specialist because, of course, a lot of firms and accountants were relying on this service, on the accountant's copy process, which is another thing that one of my pet peeves is a lot of people think, and this is not their fault. I'm not blaming them because they're busy doing other things.
Yeah,
they don't
you
have
are.
time
You're
to think this out.
You're totally
No,
blaming.
not blaming Don, but they think that the accountant's transfer service is like the accountant's copy as a whole, when that's really just a service to transfer using Intuit servers. I don't actually have to use that at all. I could just email the transfer file, and you could email the change file back to me. But every year around this time, typically it's in December, you know, and in January when everyone's rocking with the 1099s and W-2s. You know, the ACFT is not working. I can't do the accountant's copy. You know, for some reason they're not a pro advisor or whatever it is, right? It got turned off, or they're in an older year. There it is. They're in an older unsupported year, you know, and the ACFT isn't working anymore. And so I'm just like, well, don't use that. Just have them email you the QBX, and you email them back to QBO I like the old days. You know what I mean? Like the old days.
Yep, like the old days.
And then go buy that phone on eBay, you know, with the big buttons, you know, the real big phone.
Like the June bug?
Yeah, I showed it a picture of it. I shared out because Don was talking about
like the old
desktop.
Oh wait, like this phone?
Yeah, I was trying to be a wise ass. I do apologize.
Like this one that I
just
have?
having fun.
Do you like this phone?
Well, here, I'll try to share out. So, and it's a larger story.
You're not even gonna acknowledge my old school
I saw
phone?
it. That's the one you used. So, do you guys see me sharing?
Yeah, Stace. We're moving on.
Do you see me sharing?
Yeah. Mhm.
Do you see the phone?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, like an old school phone.
So, I'm just being.
That's
I don't know
the
what
kind
the
of
word
phone.
is.
That's the
I guess
kind of
kind of a
phone
jerk.
that you use when you're sitting on your Davenport and you've just gotten a drink from the icebox.
Or you might use this phone if you're still using QuickBooks 2009.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly true.
And that was mostly for, I don't know if Kim's watching, but that was for her benefit. All right,
Nice.
so.
Oh, there's a cat behind me.
There you
There's
go.
a cat.
All right, back to questions.
Dawn,
And
you ready?
We got a good one. Don, we got a good one.
You're like, no.
Ooh,
Yeah,
no,
I'm
Don,
not ready.
this one is not ready. This is payroll, federal. No. Here, this is better, Don. This is actually a question I have, and I made an answer, but what would you recommend as the best QuickBooks version for a small law firm? In particular, is there a feature in QuickBooks that keeps track of the trust accounts separately, unless you think we should just set them up as two separate companies, et cetera, et cetera? So, Don, I mean, obviously someone could use Pro in a law firm, but what do you suggest? Because you probably have a law firm as a client or have had one in the past.
I have one, and I plead the fifth.
Okay.
So you won't answer?
Nope.
What the best QuickBook version is?
Nope.
All right. Well, can I try it? Because I don't have a dog in this fight. But what I answered back, and you guys can let me know what you thought of my answer. Because you can do similar things whether you're in Pro Premier or QuickBooks Online Plus with the class tracking and with what you can do with accounts and writing checks off different bank accounts and using the check feature and doing journal entries and things like that and running reports, that you could use Pro, Premier, or QuickBooks Online Plus. And maybe Essentials, but I like the class or location tracking, maybe if you're doing other type of differentiation, for a small law firm. They actually wanted to be online, but is there something better about desktop for a law firm
They could
versus,
totally
say, QBO Plus?
No problem.
Yeah, I agree.
It totally can.
Yeah.
If they can solve for the awesome workaround that Stacy and Woody came up with for printing.
Well, Stacy.
If they can follow your guide on the printing, because law firms do print checks. If they follow your recommendation, then they can use QBO, no problem.
I don't know. Do they print a lot of checks?
Well, they print checks.
They print checks.
There's 2 or 100.
Right.
When you go in to print a check, you want it to line up. I mean, it sounds ridiculous, but Stacy's
No, I understand. You want the alignment. I get it.
Yeah.
workaround, you and Stacy worked on that.
Well, I would just say Pro then.
Well, I don't know necessarily if
not?
I would say that, but I'm just saying in general, like as a practitioner, if you're someone sitting in your office and doing what you need to do, you don't want to deal with an alignment of checks. And I think Stacy came up with a great solution.
It's great.
It was like a month and a half ago or so.
Right, I remember. It was exciting.
Great
What was
solution.
it again? What did I do?
You did something with printing on alignment or something?
The alignment.
Oh, so wasn't it like a separate user?
Yes.
Yeah.
Then QuickBooks Online is perfect.
Yeah, but my question is a law firm going to want to do that? I mean, are they really going to want to think about that? And who's actually doing it?
You know what it depends on? It
Yeah.
depends on how patient they are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well,
That's it.
yeah. And it depends on maybe if they have a certain staff member who's willing to
Yes,
do that
that's what
if
I
they
meant.
need to. I mean,
In
what
other
I
words,
would
not
do...
the lawyer, not the
Yeah.
lawyer himself, right?
Right. Like what I would do if it were me is I would have the different Chrome users, the Chrome people, and then just and have them both open at the same time, you know. And then if I had to print from my trust account, I'd go put that, and then when I got done,
Totally correct.
I would just close them both out. That's just me though.
And you're
Not everybody's gonna do that.
totally correct. You are totally correct. The problem is when you're an attorney, you're an attorney. They don't want to be, actually, the majority of the attorneys that I've interacted with are not computer savvy. You know what they do?
Right.
They ask in the courtroom.
Right.
They don't
yeah.
ask on the
That's
computer. They
Right.
don't, and they crush my soul with that. I'm like, come on, dude. Seriously? Are you kidding? You can't change Chrome users? Really? Like,
No,
I totally agree with Stacy, 100%. And if we could just help them, and I think it's the new lawyers, the younger lawyers, and I don't care if they're like older people, if they could just embrace the fact that they can actually change Chrome users, QBO is perfect for them. But they just have to embrace the technology, and that's the challenge, in my opinion.
Yeah. Right on.
Not,
Well, that was good.
not that QBO isn't right for them. It is. It's perfect. They can
Right.
get to while they're in the courtroom. Hello. But they just have that learning curve problem, which is frustrating because they look at us like we're into it. Hello.
I have two. Right, they do, and that's what I'm realizing. I have two thoughts, and
Just two?
one is just two. I'm simple. One is, do I really want to require someone to have to do multiple Chrome users, you know, in order for the software to behave? And then the other one is, you know, do I really want to do that? Because it just seems like I've been struggling with some people that are struggling with it too, and they don't really want to use Chrome. They want to use Firefox, or they want to use IE. By the way, Microsoft is getting rid of Internet Explorer. Heard about that. They're rebranding it. Project Spartan is what it's called. Anyway. Yeah. So
I'm sorry. That is absolutely the stupidest, the dumbest thing.
I missed it.
yeah, Microsoft is sunsetting IE, and they're rebranding it to a whole different browser experience, starting with Windows 2010. And the internal project name is Spartan.
Oh, that's not what the new browser is going to be called? I thought
I
you
hope
were
not.
that.
I don't know what they're going to call it. Probably Windows something. Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
Windows Web. I don't know. Microsoft Web.
I don't know. All I know is I'm not going to use it because
one likes IE.
Cat, two cats.
But and you know, it's not at the same. So my other thought is this: if you have exasperation over, well, I just don't want to adopt the Chrome user thing. My other thought is, it's not just a QuickBooks Online or an Intuit problem. The Chrome user thing can be leveraged for a lot of different softwares and things you're doing. This is not just something we had to cook up just for QBO.
I do it for this show.
Exactly.
I have a Chrome user that
you're
is
gonna have you're going to have realm issue problems with anything. It's on the web. You're going to have cookies. You have to be able to clear them. Or you might as well buy that phone on eBay because that's what you're going to be using.
Right.
You know what I mean? And carry it around.
Yeah.
And so my point is the nice thing about Chrome is that you can isolate a user so that you can clear just those cookies, not the whole browser universe cookies that you're using. And so I think that thought wins out on my first one because I feel the people's pain. I don't want them to have to adapt. I'm lazy too. I'm complacent too.
I don't know if it's
human.
lazy. I think it's honestly.
Frustrated, whatever you want the word. Lazy.
This-
Lazy's a negative term. Yeah, you're right. Lazy's a negative term. If this isn't the thing I do, or my passion, I don't really want to invest tons of time in learning a whole new thing just to get it to go work better for me.
Right.
So I get that, and I have that attitude on many things outside of QuickBooks. Right. So, but I like the second thought better. I think that in this day and age, if you can't clear cookies, you're lost.
Yeah. And I think that's a good point. And I think we're a little bit past time, and that's fine. But I think it's a good point because I have a Chrome person. They're called people now, rather than users. I have a Chrome person that's just for the QB show, and it's logged. So when I log into the QB show, it's a little green person, because that's our colors. And so when I have to log into YouTube, or it's got all of my passwords and everything saved, so I can just, when I need to deal with the show stuff, I just pull up that person, log in to Chrome as that person, edit the shows, set up the Google Hangout, do what I have to do, edit the website, and get all that stuff done. And I think that it's a really good point that it's not just QBO. It's kind of a universal thing. It's best practice.
Right, best practice. Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
Yes.
Good stuff. That was fun.
All right. This was a good show. We've got lots of good stuff coming next week. We have to make a note. What were we going to talk about next week? We're going to show something next week. Remember? We were like, we should talk about that next week.
Maybe some cool stuff will come out of the certification course Monday.
Maybe. There was something specific. I'm going to have to go watch the show.
Okay.
I have to watch it. Also, next week I will be in Mountain View for the show.
Nice.
So I'm going to be doing it from the mothership. I might be able to drag somebody on to be a guest.
That'd be cool.
I'm not sure. So we'll see. I'll see what I can do.
All right. I'll be in my bedroom. Don?
I'll be doing taxes.
You'll be doing taxes?
I won't.
All right. Well, you guys have a great night. Thanks for watching and throughout the week. We appreciate it. And QB show out.
Any last words, Dawn?
Nope. Cat.
Cat. Big cat, too.
Big
no,
cat.
He's not that big. That's all fur. Just so that you know. It's all fur. He's not that big. I'll shave him and show you guys.
Nice.
Do not do that to the cat.
And thanks again to, of course, Avalara, Fundera, Unidata, and T-Sheets.
We love all of them.
Awesome. See you guys soon.
Buscadan Laser.
Right on.
Peace out.
Throw away thumb drives, no attachments. Get the files anywhere when you're permitted access. What's the matter? Frustrated with the hassle? Jump up in the cloud and join us in the castle.
High up in the clouds and we're never